Thank you very much, Vicky, and my congratulations to you and everybody in the LHD for a terrific program for Innovation Week, and it's a great pleasure for me to be able to share with you some of the things that we're doing at the University of Sydney in relation to our research facilities, because as you can see there, we've been really reinvigorating our commitment to research infrastructure planning and research infrastructure support, and that's what I want to share with you. And really the key message for my talk today is to simply communicate to you that there's a lot of terrific people and a lot of terrific capability at the University of Sydney, and we're open for business, and we would love to work with you, to work with your students, your researchers, your clinicians, to hold hands and do great collaborative research together. So this is a little heads up as to what's cooking. In fact, I'm going to tell you a tiny bit about our journey and the way we've been thinking. Of course, there we all are, as we all know. We're not a Curtin, we're not a Monash, we're not an ANU or a Macquarie. You know, we're landlocked in there, and it's pretty complex planning space for us. So we've got all of this heritage space alongside this amazing high-performance research space that we're generating. And so we've been putting a lot of effort into the way that we construct these high-performance laboratories. And if you walk around the campus, you know, we'd take the Pepsi challenge. I think the density of cranes that we've got on postcode 2006 is definitely right up there. So there's a lot of physical infrastructure changes that are going on. And of course, there's a lot of changes in the way that our organisation is working, because if you're going to do all of those changes physically, organisationally, you would naturally change the way that you plan and resource your research infrastructure. And so many of you understand about the way that the university is looking west. This is an important initiative, but in more locally, our commitments around obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular at Charles Perkins, our commitments to brain and mind research, and the other initiatives that you can see there have all been drivers for us to rethink how we go about our research infrastructure, and we've been writing this into our strategic plans and getting on with it. And of course, as we've been getting on with it, as you well know, this is indeed in the zeitgeist worldwide around how research-intensive universities do their stuff. And so there's all sorts of books, papers, conferences and the like about the importance of research infrastructure, and really recognising that for truly world-class and for truly world-leading research infrastructure, the days of the cabal of the 2 or 3 academics down at the end of the corridor that would be running a truly world-class world-class facility, you know, they're probably past us, and universities like ours have really stepped up and owned those sorts of things and resourced them and then, you know, put the ambition around all of that. So at the university there are 7 core research facilities. We have an 8th facility which is just about to come into existence, and you can see them listed there. And I think the team here would be particularly interested in our commitment around imaging, our commitment around microscopy and microanalysis, our commitment around informatics, and well, no doubt mass spec and cytometry are also of interest. So you know, there are websites and other things for you to look at the nitty-gritty of what's in there. Again, at a high level, one of the reasons that we're doing this is because we have noticed that as we have built these high-performance, world-class research facilities, which you can see listed here, these are spawning amazing synergies with our multidisciplinary research institutes, such as you see here, and that is leading us to have completely different, completely new kinds of conversations with partners such as this local health district, this great pioneer of so much leading-edge healthcare, but also organisations like Rio Tinto and the others that are listed here. And of course, you could imagine that if you lift the lid at a place like the University of Sydney, there are thousands of little companies that we're working with across the world, but the ones I've listed here are really very, very major enterprise-level partnerships, such as are very rare actually in Australia's university sector. We're very proud of that kind of arrangement now that we have in between our MDIs and our core facilities, spawning these $100 million plus type of connections. So we landed on those particular core facilities because these are the things that our academic teams are particularly good at and care about. and you can see why those facilities would map into this space. And of course, in the health area, at least 3 of these facilities have a particular resonance. And so as you're looking at the information that we're providing and the websites that are available here, as I've said, we'd love you to be thinking about how your teams could make use of the facilities and expertise here. Frontier technologies, another key area for us. And biosecurity, another key area. Okay, our research facilities offer a really carefully thought about user experience. So there's a kind of a user cycle here that you can see where our students and our researchers, your teams can enter in via a very well thought through user portal, meet with the local team, get training if that's the idea, and ultimately get access to these laboratories and do their thing. And our mantra really in doing all of this is that we wanted to get absolutely fantastic people. So the technical and the scientific expertise is absolutely front and centre. It's all about the people. But even if you've got great people, you can still get it wrong. You've got to have great instrumentation. And so we've put a lot of emphasis on the kit that we've been purchasing, and we've put an enormous amount of emphasis on strategic road mapping for the next gen technologies and how we bring those in. But even if you've got good people and you've got fabulous kit, you can still stuff it up. And the way that you can stuff it up is with your processes. And so we've been really big on the way that we put processes so that your students and your researchers and your teams can have a really easy flow through this system. And so that's what it's all about. Now I'm going to finish by just showing a few little slides about Sydney Imaging. It's a research facility that we're especially proud of. Of course, it has 3 pillars for us. The clinical imaging, which is absolutely key, preclinical imaging, and the hybrid theatre. And our commitment to Sydney Imaging and our commitment to clinical, to preclinical, and to the hybrid theatre really represents our commitment to understanding that fundamental and clinical and indeed translational research in the biomedical area is increasingly pinned on capabilities in the imaging space. And so we've gone very hard in this, and we have ambitions to have Sydney Uni as a leader in imaging in the time ahead. There's an org chart here. We're very pleased to have appointed Professor Fernando Calamonte, who some of you may know as the director. Fernando's busy off being made a fellow of the International Magnetic Resonance Imaging Society at the moment. He's overseas, but I'm sure if you haven't met him already, you will soon. And our commitment, as I said, around these 3 areas, as you see here. The facility is a hub and spoke model, so we have activity in Mallet Street. Of course we would, because that's where our fabulous Brain and Mind Centre is located. We have activity in the Charles Perkins Centre, and of course both of these are in brilliant proximity to much of what happens at the local health district. So we love to think that that's handy and a good result. We're also having activities that we're establishing elsewhere as well. Okay, so yeah, some floor plans. Let's talk about the hybrid theatre. We did a ton of work to convert spaces like this into spaces like this. And the hybrid theatre, which is one of those kind of pillars of Sydney Imaging, it is led by Professor Paul Bannon, who's head of cardiothoracic surgery at the RPA in the LHD, well known, I'm sure, to many of you. Paul Bannon here, together with Fernando and the team, are doing great things to bring a new kind of capability for interventional imaging. You can see the capabilities set out here. So surgical training is important to us, robotic surgery, and I'm going to give you a little look at a vid here. interventional 3D MR imaging in real time during surgery, the robotic surgery initiatives, the artificial intelligence work that we're building in around that, the biomaterials developments, materials implants, all of these things are key foci for our research. So if you have got any thoughts about how you and your team might be able to use this, we'd love to hear from you. And so you can see here some of the examples of surgical technique development, robotic surgery and the like that we are planning to use. We have great things going on in the preclinical imaging space, a number of instruments, 7T, 3T, MR, PET capabilities have recently been installed. We have a terrific team in this space. We have a really nice workflow, and so with the small animals, great partnership with MR Solutions. It's all happening. So yeah, that's me done. We've got some great people, some great equipment, some great processes, and we'd love to hear from you. Thank you.